Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a close look at my almost 9-year-old Kindle Touch, but first let me just show you my purchase history on Amazon. According to this, I purchased the Kindle Touch on the 19th of June 2012. And going through the details of this particular Kindle Touch, we scroll down to see the specs of it. And someone on the comments here asked what generation this was, and the answer is it is the fourth generation Kindle Touch. And here are the details of the lighted case. I have it in the color called wine purple. And by the way, I also purchased the power plug for the Kindle. I don't know why I bought it. I certainly didn't need it, but it just felt nice to have it because of the Amazon branding that's on it. And here is the Kindle now in February of 2021. It is approximately 8 years and 4 months old. Does it still work? Well, yes, it does work with zero problems. Let me show you. Since day one, I have always had it inside this padded zipper pouch from Halo. This is also 8 years and 4 months old. I purchased this specifically for the Kindle on the same day that the Kindle arrived. Here is the Kindle Touch inside the wine purple leather cover with the LED light that pops out. Now, this leather cover aged very well, and it's a molded cover, by the way. It is made specially for this particular Kindle Touch. You can see here how the leather has very perfectly been spread over the molded surface of this cover. Here is the top part of the cover. This part pops out, and I will show you later. And here is the bottom. This cutout right here is already a part of the Kindle. This is the on-off switch and also the sleep and wake button of the Kindle. And here is a standard 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and this is the charging port for the micro USB on the Kindle. And the cover opens like this, simply like an actual physical book. This part here is very velvety soft. It looks like felt, but is much softer than felt. But it does not have the longer fibers of velvet. And this is the Kindle with a screensaver displayed. You press on the button at the bottom to wake up the Kindle, and it goes straight to the page you were on before it went to sleep. And now let's pop out the LED light here. And I'm going to turn off the lights so that you can see how bright it still is and how clear the Kindle is. Can you see that? That's 9-year-old technology right here, still working perfectly fine in 2021. Sometimes though, when I have not used this in 2 or 3 days, the LED light on the case flickers once or twice at the beginning, but that goes away as I use the Kindle more. This did not used to happen. I noticed this happening only when I started using this Kindle again this month. But when I was using it last year, this problem didn't happen. This Kindle has actually been in storage for about a year. I think the last thing I read on it was a Thomas Hardy novel, and I remember that was last year before the pandemic even started. It was free, the book was free on Amazon. Now, this Kindle Touch, as its name would suggest, operates on touch. To move forward one page, you just have to touch the screen on the right side, and to move back a page, touch the left side of the screen. Response is not instant. It has never been instant, but I'm okay with that. If you are reading a book, you are most likely not in a hurry. So this is the book that I'm reading now. Let us go to the cover by tapping on these options. This is Spectral. I can't talk today. This is Spectral Nationality by Peng Chea. I purchased this also from Amazon as a Kindle book. So as an AZW3 file that is locked to this specific Kindle, all of the features are on here. The table of contents, the clickable footnotes and endnotes, and all that juicy stuff that nonfiction books are made of. So what else do I have here on this Kindle? Let's see. There is the famous Fukuyama book and the clippings file. Once I highlight any part of any book, it automatically goes to this clippings file and I can read the contents of this file from here. But if I want to transfer all of the clippings to my computer, I just need to connect my Kindle to my computer using a micro USB cable and copy the clippings file from the Kindle into my computer, and it is a .txt file. Other things I have here on this Kindle are books directly related to my thesis, although some of them are not. I just put them here so I could read them for fun when I am taking a break. I also still have the White Tiger on here, but it's a PDF. A friend of mine shared this file with me, and when reading a PDF on this Kindle, there are no settings at the top of the page for that particular PDF book you are reading. And there is no option to view the time that you have left to finish the book, and it does not display anything else other than the page number. Now let's go back to spectral nationality. Like I said, this is an AZW3 file, which is locked specifically to my Kindle, and it has full features. I can tap on the top of the screen to view all of the options, like select certain specific parts of the book to go to, and with this specific file and this specific book, it's separated into parts. And after I choose the part that I want to go to and I go to that part, I can then choose a chapter. In this case, I am on part 1, chapter 2. I have set the screen of this to go to sleep after 3 minutes of inactivity, but I can also manually put the screen to sleep by pressing this button at the bottom. There are only two physical buttons on this device, the one at the bottom and the home button at the bottom of the front panel of the Kindle. On the home screen, there is also a drop-down menu for the settings. You can view your books in cover form or in list form. But this is the cover form. It is more visual, but for me, I prefer the list form. This also has Wi-Fi, and that's what I used to download some books off my Amazon Kindle Books purchases directly into this device without having to go to my computer, manually downloading the file from my Amazon cloud, and then transferring it to the Kindle via a micro USB cable, although you can do that too. But when you are not with your computer, this is a very useful feature to have. You can also purchase Kindle books from Amazon directly on this Kindle, which is another purpose of the Wi-Fi feature. While on the book that you're reading, you can change the size of the font and the font itself. You have here two kinds of fonts, the Cecilia, which also has a condensed version, and the Helvetica, which is sans serif. For reading, I always find the serif fonts easier on the eyes compared to the sans serif fonts, so I'm using the Cecilia, but not the condensed version. You can also change the line spacing and the size of the margins. One feature of the Kindle on all Kindles, I believe, starting around 2015, is the feature for us to see the time left in the book and time left in the chapter. This feature wasn't in my Kindle when I bought it in 2012, but was made available during one of those system upgrades that Amazon put up a few years ago. It is very helpful, actually. Now I don't have to be all tormented by how long it's going to take me to finish reading a book. And while I was filming this, I forgot one very important feature that makes this book super duper useful, so I am inserting this clip. When I encounter an unfamiliar word, or a word that looks like a normal word, but I know or suspect that it's a technical word or a jargon in the book, I just do a long press on that word, and the Kindle pulls up the definition of that word. This Kindle is using information from either of the two dictionaries I have on here, which I downloaded from the dictionaries that are already on my personal Amazon database, my Amazon Cloud account. These dictionaries came free with the most recent software update, I think, if I remember it correctly. Amazon has so many dictionaries for many different languages available, and you can just choose which ones you want on your Kindle. And it's funny because sometimes when I'm reading a physical book, I want to look up the meaning of one word and I forget I'm not on a Kindle. So sometimes I would do a long press on the paper. I super love this feature. This is by far my favorite feature of the Kindle. One long press and I know what the word means. Now let me take off the cover so you can see both items independently. It's kind of a hassle to do this actually. This cover was not designed to be put on and off several times a day. And as you can see here, the corner of the cover has already chipped off, although I hardly ever take this cover off because there is no need to. Taking off the cover now is even harder for my disabled right hand, but after some struggling off camera, the cover is finally off. And here is the Kindle without a case. And here is some information printed at the back panel. This Kindle is actually very light on its own. This casing is plastic, a smooth matte plastic, and this plastic casing makes the entire thing so light. And at the bottom here, there are two tiny metal plates, and these are what the metal pins on the cover align with so that the cover can get power for the LED light. The cover on its own has no power source, no battery. It is the Kindle literally that powers the LED light on the case. And to put the cover back on, just ease in the top part of the Kindle like so, and then push down gently on the bottom corners. Easy peasy. The only downside to this cover is that it is much heavier than the Kindle. Much, much heavier, maybe 3 times heavier. But that is a very unscientific estimate, but the Kindle is extremely light compared to the cover. I really appreciate the light that is attached to this cover, and I like that. I think one of the reasons why this Kindle lasted so long with me is because the cover is very, very protective. I really like using this Kindle. This has 8 gigabytes of internal storage and no option for an SD card, but I don't really need to store all of my Kindle books on here all at the same time. I keep all of my Kindle books in a separate storage on my computer, and the total size of everything is way over 8 gigabytes. That's how many ebooks I have. I just put in here the books that I need for the next few months or so. I love that I can bring around several books literally inside one jacket pocket. All books of trilogies, entire complete collections from one author, so I can binge read them when I want to. And I can read in any quiet corner with this because I have a light. And I can select an excerpt and store it on my computer afterwards. I think this is one of the best purchases I have ever made in my entire adult life. I really love reading. I grew up among books and I have my own personal library. I have a video tour of my bookshelves on my channel and I will link that in the description box. Having a Kindle just makes so much sense to me in my life, and Amazon's Kindle bookstore and library is so massive and the most comprehensive in my opinion, so it makes sense as well to stay within that ecosystem. The classics are free too. You can check it out. Search any classical author that you want to check out and it will show up as 0.00 US dollars. And that is the Kindle Touch, my little purchase from 2012 that continues to work perfectly for me in 2021. If you are a heavy reader, I highly recommend an e-reader, and the Kindle lasts a really long time. The Paperwhite, the current Paperwhite looks really lovely and doesn't cost a lot. I'm sure it's going to last a really long time as well, but if you have money to burn for a Kindle Oasis, I suggest you go for that. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!